Hello. I literally was just about, I'm leaving Tanya's. I literally was just about to go home, and then I was like, I haven't even filmed my vlog for today yet. Well, you got a little bit of a longer one yesterday, so this one will probably be shorter today. Thank you to everybody for keeping up with my vlogs. There's a lot of you that have been consistently watching since the beginning of the year. I don't know how you do it, but it means a lot to me. No fountain Coke, but I am having a cup of coffee. I had to run the clubhouse tonight where my meeting is, and so that my sponsor, because he was out of town camping, and it was my first night running the register and everything. I was so proud of myself. Made coffee. Well, I didn't make the coffee. Their coffee was just been made right when I got there, but this is my coffee. There's something about coffee. If you're in a 12-step program, there's something about coffee. There's something about coffee at a 12-step meeting. I don't know. I just, you know. People are always like, you don't say what 12-step program you're in. And that's out of consideration for the 12-step program. Because, you know, they're anonymous programs and because of the traditions. So I just want to make that clear. It's been a good day today. It's been a busy day, but it's been a good day. Tanya just got in the car and she's like, I had a hat on earlier. Here, I'll show you. I'm like leaving her neighborhood. I love mature trees and yards. It's like one of my favorite things. So I had my hat on. But then I was like, I don't want to wear a hat. Tanya got in the car and she's like, I love your hair longer. And I was like, I'm getting it cut tomorrow morning at 10. But thanks. I gained a pound, you guys. My weight is so up and down. It's so crazy. And it wasn't because I like went home and ate a bunch of stuff last night. It wasn't anything about that at all. I don't know what it was. I think it was because I drank so much water. I literally drove around last night for I think 2.5, 3 hours, and I finished for like 40 minutes. I sat in the parking lot at Meijer and finished Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I finally finished it. It was okay. You know, people love these young adult dystopian fantasy novels, world building. It was really my first, you know, experience with that other than Harry Potter. And I've only read the first Harry Potter book and I loved it. But it was a cliffhanger at the end. It just ends, and then it's like, oh, you have to read the second book because it's a duology to find out what happens in the second book. So it was interesting. I was like, okay, so I made a video on my main channel today about Raw Beauty Christie, who I have totally fallen in love with. All these people were saying like, oh, she dragged drama channels. No, I watched the video. She didn't drag drama channels. I thought she said some things in there that were very real. But it was interesting because I was really not going to address any of this today, but I do think this is what I'm going to address. I think I'm going to talk my video today about Gossip Guru. So I purposely, you guys, do not go on gossip threads and read about myself. If somebody makes a video about me, I do watch it. Good or bad, I watch it. Because I think it's important for us to remain teachable, okay? But to me, there's a difference from somebody getting on a video with their face on a camera and their voice, and you can see how you have affected them or how they feel. And mostly the videos that have been made about me have been good recently. I mean, in the past, there have been some painful videos about me, but I know who I am and I know my truth. So, and I think that you guys see, you know, me on here, and I think this is, my vlog channel is the true testament to who I really am. And, so I very rarely go to gossip threads. Now, I will tell you, somebody just commented on my BookTube channel, and because I was reading my comments, and they said, oh, you're coming up on a year on BookTube, or on YouTube. So September 1st is my anniversary on YouTube. And, you know, I very quickly got some subs. It was very fun, and, you know, but then it kind of got ugly for a little while, and now it's fine again. And, you know, like, I get along, I try to get along with everybody and have fun with it, and, you know, I've been it's opened a lot of doors for me, and I've been very fortunate, and it's been awesome in that way, you know? I do want to say one thing, because a lot of people snapped me about this. A lot of people said, you were talking about a Patreon. If you wanted to open a Patreon, I'd be totally fine with that. And the other half of people said, don't you dare open a Patreon. I have no plan on opening a Patreon. I will not be opening a Patreon. I don't think. I want to say I don't think, because if there's even 2% out there that I might ever, I mean, if tomorrow, like, had some real reason that, like, if I was going to lose my house, can't believe I just said that after I came for Kendall Ray, but I mean, like, if I had a health condition or something and I couldn't pay for it, and, you know, and I knew that you guys might want to be willing to help me with that, I still would really struggle opening a Patreon, you guys, but, like, if I did, I would make it valuable. Like, I don't know, I'd write whoever wanted to pay for it a short story about themselves, and you know what I mean? Like, I would really put some effort into it. But I don't look down on Patreons that are done correctly, or that starving artists really survive on that money, and not just on YouTube, but, you know, like, if they're other artists, right? But I have dogged it enough that I am not going to turn around and start a Patreon, so I don't want anybody worrying about that, okay? But the only reason I'm saying that I don't want to say I never will is because then if I do, then I'm screwed, right? I don't know, but I'm not planning on it. And you guys, listen, I make good money. I don't, you know, my husband and I were very blessed to have good careers, and, you know, I would love YouTube to be my full-time job, but I'm fine if it's not, so... but anyway, it was interesting because, and so I just wanted to say that about the Patreon thing, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, Peter's going to start a Patreon. No, I'm not going to start a Patreon. It was interesting because I went to Gossip Guru. Was that what it's called? Yeah. To look up this Raw Beauty Christie, because I didn't know anything about her, and I knew that some people had, like, come for her and said some things, and so I wanted to read, like, what people had said for her. So when I got done reading some of it, I was like, well, maybe you should go see what people are saying about you. No, I shouldn't have. You should never do that, right? And it's interesting because it's always the same people, but this was what was really funny, was that I had mentioned on a BookTube video that somebody came and said on a thread, and listen, I just sometimes Google my name to see if anybody's, like, said anything about me in the last month, and let me tell you, the last time I did it was a couple days ago. I do it, like, once a month. I'm a nosy bitch, baby, so I'm gonna find out if anybody's saying things about me, you know? And so what was funny was 3 days ago I did it, and there's, like, this article written about the downfall of Blue Apron and how, like, Blue Apron sales are falling and all these complaints about them. And then in the article it says, this video is a good example of all of the complaints about Blue Apron, and my video is in the article. I was like, oh my God, right? But I will say this, that I complained about that Hunt a Killer box, and they reached out to me, they reimbursed me for the money that I had spent on that, and they seriously apologized to me, and they asked me if I wanted to talk to them, and I was like, no, I'm cool, but thank you. I think that is how you run a business. Blue Apron never reached out to me, not once. Not that I'm entitled to that, but I just thought that was interesting, you know? Somebody drags your video, or drags your business in a video, and you don't even reach out to them and say, hey, I'm sorry for your experience, is there something we could have done to make it better? You know, I mean, I just think it's bad business, right? So anyway, I was reading this thread on Guru Gossip. It's so funny to me what people say, you know, like, so basically the things that people said were that I'm as annoying as fuck, number one, that I'm apparently lonely and depressed, which is why I make videos and get on you now, which is so funny, because anytime I do feel lonely, I get on here and I talk about it. And I was thinking about this today. I was like, you know, when I started my YouTube channel, I did kind of feel lonely. Like, I was in my office or I was at home making one video a day on BookTube. I don't feel like that today. Like, my life has changed a lot in the last year, and I have a lot of people in my life on a daily basis, you know? And I'm happy about that. And then they went in for the kill, and the kill is my relationship with my husband. You know, and that's always the thing that people want to come for. Well, you know, you can tell that Alex is just with Peter for the money, which is so funny because I think Alex makes more money than I do right now. And you can tell that he can't be bothered with Peter, that he doesn't want to be with him. My husband is 33 years old and he makes really good money and could totally survive on his own. I'm not really sure why he would be with me if he didn't want to be with me. So, but Alex knows that he doesn't translate well on video, which is why he's asked me not to always put him on videos. The other thing that they said was, you can tell something to the effect of, it's really sad when he did his vlog in oh, did you see that vlog in Miami? Oh, that was so sad. We're going next week too, so get ready because there's going to be another vlog in Miami. I hope these people don't watch it because they're just bitter souls about the earth and they can't see anything happy. I was so excited about our trip and our hotel and everything. I mean, why wouldn't you be? Baby, if I was going to Tell City, Indiana, I'd be excited about it. I love staying in hotels. I've loved staying in a hotel since I was a little kid. You know, I don't care if it's a, you know, Holiday Inn Express or if it's the Ritz-Carlton. I love staying in hotels. And they said, it's so sad, like, Peter acts like he's never been anywhere. I just wanted to show how exciting the trip was, you know, whatever. I've been a lot of places. But this is why you don't read these comments, because it's not so much that there's any truth to it, but it's that it starts getting in your head, and then you go, well, is there truth to this? Or is that how it's not so much that there is truth to it, it's like, does that how I seem on camera? That's the danger in reading those sites, right? That you should go ahead. If you're gonna start a YouTube channel or do anything, I mean, it was the same thing with me when I was just a writer. You know, whatever you're gonna do, just go ahead and do it, okay? Because there are always gonna be people out there that are gonna criticize you. There are always gonna be people that hate you. There always are gonna be people out there that are gonna tell you that what you do is wrong, right? I've had them in my life from day one. And by and large, those are miserable, unhappy people that will criticize anything about anybody because they're unhappy about their own existence, you know? The reality is this, and I wanted to talk about this for a second. One of my favorite channels for like the last 6 or 7 years, I think they've been up that long, has been V Squared. And, it's Vinny and Luke, and it's this couple, and I think they live in London, and I think Luke is English, and Vinny is from the United States, and he moved over there, and they got married, and they're a gay couple, and they have a channel together, and they've been pretty successful. They have like 150,000, so I think that's how many subscribers they have. Well, I love their channel, and I had noticed in the last 6 months that they weren't really making very many videos, okay? And, the last video they had done together was about 6 months ago. They used to post regularly, like a couple times a week. Since then, it's been like one video a month, and it's been with Vinny. And he put out a video late last week, I think, said, we filed for divorce. And I thought, oh man, don't tell me this. Like, this is sad, you know? And not because I'm a fan, which I am, and not because I love them as a couple, which I do, but because I don't want to see anybody go through divorce, you know? And, so I sat there and I watched the video, and he had disabled the comments, because I was going to go comment and say, like, hey, I really feel for both of you guys, you know, whatever. I wish you both the best. I love you both. And we actually interviewed them for our website a couple years ago. And, they were super nice. And I watched this video, you know, and Vinny's bawling his eyes out. And he's talking on there about how much he loves him, his husband, and that, you know, his husband had said to him, I just don't want to be in this marriage anymore, and I love you, but it's time for me to move on to other things. And he said something in there that I thought was so profound. He said, I don't want you guys to think that we don't love each other. The fact that we love each other so much is how we can let each other go. Because we know that we're no longer happy in this marriage and that we deserve to have something else. And I thought, you know what, that's so true. And I was really impressed that he came on camera and he talked about it. Because there is this insider secret that a lot of people don't know about, especially with gay couples on the internet, but it's with a lot of YouTubers right now, that there are a lot of YouTube couples out there that people sit there and they go, oh, couple goals, relationship goals. I mean, you guys say that about Alex and I. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, well, if you saw us on the phone fighting about where we're having dinner tonight, I mean, that's really about as deep as our fights get. You know, like, you wouldn't think couple goals, but, like, it's so funny to me. And, but this insider secret is and I know who the couples are, I mean, because if you're on YouTube long enough, you hear about it from other creators, is that there are a lot of couples out there that are in open relationships or aren't even really married or in a committed relationship. They just are for video because they don't want to disappoint their fans, and quite frankly, financially, that's how they support themselves. But you see them as a couple, and they play to that, right? Well, if you go back to my vlog on day one, I said something on here, and I said, baby, if I'm going to be a couple on this channel, and I'm going to talk about being in a relationship, you're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I want people out there to know the truth, and I want people out there to really know what we're going through in our marriage, so that they can sit there and go, you know what? Like, that's so similar to me. Or I'm going through something the same way. And I have talked on here, you know, that Alex and I decided to start going to counseling. And why was the reason why? Because our marriage wasn't necessarily where we wanted to be. You know, when it started, our relationship was super passionate, very sexual, heated, going out all the time. We couldn't get enough of each other. We saw each other, you know, 24 hours a day, 7 days. I took him food to his work. He sent me flowers. I mean, it was that, you know, for the first 2 years. And then we got engaged, and we were so excited about the wedding, and our next year was just wedding, wedding, wedding. And then we got married, and that was awesome. You know, I love being married. There's just, I know a lot of people take it for granted, but when you fight so hard for something politically and legally, you know, it means something to you a little bit more. I don't know how to explain that, and I don't mean to step on anybody's toes and say that your marriage doesn't mean as much to me, as much to you as it does to me, because I think that's bullshit. I'm just saying, you know, we got married around the time that all of a sudden you could get married, and it meant a lot to us. And we had our wedding before you legally could get married, and that will always be our wedding for us. And that day, for me, I will never forget getting married to my husband and the look on his face. And my husband is not a crier. And when he came out of that room, escorted by his mom, I was escorted by my dad, he was escorted by his mom, and he had tears in his eyes, and he looked at me, and I knew that man loves me. I knew, I was like, that is my man right there. You know, and the next day, Alex and I laid out by the pool at the Cosmopolitan, and everybody else, we made them go to a different pool. We laid out at this pool by ourselves, because we had, you know, got married in Vegas. And I said, does it feel different to you? And he goes, it does. And he goes, does it feel different to you? And I said, it really does. Like, there's something that's changed, you know? And we both talked about that commitment that comes, you know, with getting married in front of your friends and your family, and knowing that you got each other through and through the good, the bad, the ugly, through the fights, through all of it. You know, you got each other. And let me tell you, okay, to anybody out there that's in a long-term relationship or is married, there will be a lot of good, there will be a lot of bad, there will be a lot of ugly, but there will be a lot of amazing moments too. Small moments. Some of my finest moments with my husband are the smallest moments ever, you know? I was showing him this video in bed the other night about Chaco, the macho chihuahua that I was talking about. He got laughing so hard. We got laughing so hard. We were talking to Pee-Pee and acting like asking Pee-Pee the same questions about it. It just was a moment, you know? And I think what made me sad about watching this video with this Vinny guy is, it's like, I thought back on my marriage with my husband, you know, so that we got married, and next week is our 6-year wedding anniversary, and 9 years that we've been together in a relationship. Not bad for any kind of couple, let alone a gay couple. Not bad. I'm very proud of that, you know? And I'm going to tell you guys a secret that I've never talked about on here. We were not the couple that was supposed to ever make it. Because when we first got together, our relationship looked like going out to dinner a lot, going out to a lot of clubs, you know, we traveled a lot our first year. It was giving each other lots of expensive gifts, and we just had this passionate love affair our first year. And I think we both knew it probably wouldn't last. You know what I mean? Like, something that intense is not supposed to last. But it did. And we're here. You know, and we've had some tough fucking times. We've had a lot of moments, and I'm going to own this because I want to say that when I was reading that gossip, guru gossip, or whatever those fools are, when I was reading that today, they made a lot of comments about my marriage, and it didn't really upset me. It was like, I'm as honest as I possibly be on camera. Like, none of these other couples are talking about marriage counseling and arguments. Why would I lie further about what is going? I mean, why would I, if we were doing all that, lie about something? It just doesn't make any sense, right? And they were like, you know, like somebody said his marriage is dead on arrival. Dead on arrival? 9 years. Wow, you know? And I'm proud that my husband and I have made it 9 years. That's a long relationship. It's longer than any relationship I've ever had. My ex and I were together 6.5 years, and I was proud of that. You know, my ex before that, he and I were together 5 years. I was proud of that. And, so, you know, I was thinking back on my marriage, and it's like, we got married that first year. That first year was amazing. But you have to remember, this was a period of time when I wasn't going to 12-step meetings. I've talked about that on here. There was 4 years that I didn't go to a meeting, and it has nothing to do with my marriage. It had to do with the fact that I peaced out after my mom passed away, and I thought, there ain't nothing that this thing can get me anymore, okay? I have worked my ass off. I was very angry at my higher power. I thought, you know, the one person I love the most in the world you took from me, okay? The one person that understood my sobriety more than anybody else in the world, you took from me. Why do I need to continue to do this? And what happened was in that 4 years, I had no emotional sobriety. None whatsoever. And what that means is that when you take the drink or the drug away from an alcoholic or an addict, okay, you still have a very sick person. So you have somebody that can't really stand being with themselves, but they don't have a drink or a drug to deal with that. Which is why a lot of people told me, you know, early on when I had no emotional sobriety, I'd like you better if you were drinking. You were a little bit more fun and you were probably a lot easier to get along with. So, in the course of all of this, Alex is now dealing with somebody that has no emotional sobriety, right? And our lives start separating. He starts doing his own thing. I start doing my own thing. He gets a new job. He graduates from college. I get kind of some new jobs, some new contracts I'm doing. I change my business up. We're having dinner 3 nights a week. We're meeting on the weekends once, but like that's about it, you know? And what we started realizing was there was a lot of distance in our relationship. And when we went, right before we were going to Miami this year, for Ultra, because we go every year. That's our big trip. We love it. Even though we're going to Miami next week, baby. I'll be in Miami, bitch. We had a long conversation. And we were like, and if you go back and you watch my vlogs, I talked about it in there. I said, we're talking about going to marriage counseling. Because I got on here and I said on day one, I'm not going to be some fake person on YouTube. I'm going to show my relationship realistically. I will not be one of those YouTubers that sits on here and goes, oh, we're so in love with each other 24 hours a day, blah, 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 blah. If you're in a relationship, you know that's bullshit, okay? Your husband doesn't stank up the bathroom, it pisses you off, okay? He doesn't take you out the trash, it pisses you off. You know, your wife didn't make the bed and you just like to get in nice in bed for one time, you know? You've worked your ass off all week long. She's got plans for you this weekend that you didn't relationships are like that. And I was never going to get on here and act like it was a bunch of fakey bullshit. And I'm going to tell you who's really pushed me the hardest about that is Alex. Because at first I wanted to edit him a little bit because he would get on here, and you guys know, because you've seen him in my live streams, he can be very sexual. He can say things that are a little dirty sometimes, and people think it's hilarious. But I was worried about how it would be conceived or received. And he said to me, if I'm going to be on your channel, you're going to let me be who I'm going to be, right? Because you love those things about me anyway, which I do. They crack my shit up. And I allowed him to be who he was, and people thought it was funny. So, but in March, we had a conversation, and we were getting ready to go to Ultra, and we went out to dinner one night, and he said, you know, I feel like our relationship has become going out to dinner, sex when we're both home and interested, and going to sleep together at night, but that's basically it. And I said, okay. I said, I feel kind of the same way. What would you scale our relationship? And we scaled it, and it wasn't a 10 and it wasn't a 2, but it wasn't great. And he looked at me and he goes, would you be willing to go to marriage counseling? Now, let me tell you something. I am a counselor. I've been a counselor for 21 years, okay? Or I'm not actively a counselor, but I've been a counselor for 20 years. And the idea of going to counseling as a counselor for marriage counseling scared the shit out of me. Because I was like, I should be able to fix whatever is wrong with my own marriage. But I couldn't. Because I didn't really even know what was wrong. I didn't know that our communication patterns were sick. I didn't know that we weren't asking each other for what we needed. You know, I didn't know until I got into marriage counseling that, you know, my husband felt certain ways about certain things and I felt certain ways about certain things. I didn't know that we needed to open up to each other emotionally more. I didn't know about the 10 different kinds of intimacy that had absolutely nothing to do with sex or holding hands or talking to somebody. I didn't know that there were all these different kinds of intimacy that we share with each other that can make a relationship a 12 out of 10, which is what we wanted, and we both agreed that day. We're going to marriage counseling, and we're going to make our marriage the best marriage we can possibly have, because we want to be that couple in our 60s and 50s or 70s and 60s, because he's, you know, 12 years younger than me, that people look at and they go, oh my God, they are so fantastically in love and they've been together all this time. That's the couple that we want to be. And that's why we went to marriage counseling. And it has been phenomenal. I cannot even tell you. I called him today and I said, how is your, or he called me today and he was leaving one thing, going to another, a job. And I said, he goes, oh my God, I've been so busy today and I have to go to this thing because I have to live stream this business, blah, 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 whatever. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, so we were talking and I said, I cannot wait to go to Miami. He goes, I am so ready to spend 5 days with you alone. He goes, I just need to be with you alone. And you know, like, that is not something we would have said to each other in March. Yes, we were excited about spending time together in March, together alone, but I don't know that we truly appreciated it. You know what I mean? I think we took each other for granted a lot. I don't want to be the person that has to come on video and say, we filed for divorce. If I do, if that becomes my reality at any time, you will be the first one to know it. Alex and I have had lots of conversations about me wanting my vlog to be very, very real because I want this to be a diary of my life. I talked about my aunt's death on here and her sickness. I showed me going over to my cousin's house, preparing for the funeral. I've talked about fights I've had with people. I've talked about my mother. You know, they criticized that. They even criticized that on this thread today and said, I talk too much about my mother. I should get over it. Their parent died years ago. You know what? To tell somebody to get over it with a parent that has died, what you know about grief is, some people it takes 2 years. Sometimes they never get over it. I will never choose to forget my mother. She was the most fantastic person in my life. I love her. I got a lot of wisdom from her. If I cry about her every day, that's okay. Because to cry about somebody means they fucking meant something to you. If you can't cry about them, baby, they didn't mean anything to you. And for somebody to be so bitter as to pass judgment like that in a gossip thread and say, oh, he talks so much about his sobriety, he talks so much about his mother. Baby, don't watch my vlogs. It's just not that deep, you know? That you watch my vlogs enough, so thank you, bitter fool, to watch my vlogs and invest 50 minutes a day, because that's how long my vlogs are, to then go into a gossip site and comment about how annoying I am because I talk about my dead mother. You're sick. Like, that's some sick shit right there. You know, but I wanted to talk about this because I won't say it didn't piss me off. It did piss me off a little bit because I thought I put my entire life out there and then people still think that I'm fake. Like, how more real can I be? You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many countless messages I have received in emails from people. I mean to tell you probably upwards of 100 at this point, okay? Of men and women, gay and straight, that have said to me, thank you so much for talking about your marriage, the ups and downs, and you guys seeking out counseling for whatever reason. Because my husband and I, or my girlfriend and I, or my wife and I have decided to go to counseling because of what you've gone through and how it's helped you. You know, like, that's pretty fucking amazing to me. I think we need more vlogs out there that just talk the truth. You know, I talked in there today in my vlog about, or in my video about Raw Beauty Christie. Go check her out. I love this girl, okay? Like, I love her. I'll link her channel below if I remember. I was gonna link that video yesterday, that TED Talks, and I forgot to do that. She is so real. I mean, this girl is so real. Okay, my video is gonna die. I gotta stop it. I'm gonna start right again. Okay, my camera overheated, and now I'm pissed because I don't remember what I was gonna say. But I think I was gonna talk about, I wanted to get to these Facebook pictures. Did I talk about the Facebook pictures? So, I used to, like, have this issue, right, that, so there was this couple, okay, this gay couple that we knew, And they would constantly post pictures of each other on Facebook and Instagram, okay? And they were so in love, and they were so happy, and they're constantly, you know, posting pictures of holding hands, and constantly posting pictures of, you know, all this kind of stuff, laying in bed together, and yeah, I mean, literally every picture on Instagram was them as a couple. And it would say, like, underneath it, like, I don't know what I would do without my bae, and all this kind of stuff. And I was so jealous. I was like, why can't I have that? You know, like, I want that. And it was so funny because, God, I wish I could remember what I was saying before this camera died. But anyway, I would say to Alex, you don't, like, put that kind of stuff on my Facebook. He'd be like, okay, well why do you need that? And I'm like, well, do you feel that way? And he'd be like, of course I feel that way. I love you, but I don't need to feel like I need to, you know, advertise it everywhere. He's like, I put up pictures from more certain places together and stuff. And I was like, I know, but they put it up every day. Have you ever been that person that you're like, they put it up every day, and I wish that you would do that, and all this kind of stuff. Alex is like, okay, well, that's them, that's not me, and you have no idea what's going on in their relationship. They might be the most unhappy people that have ever been together. And I'm like, no, you can tell from their relationship on, you know, social media, on Instagram and on Facebook, they're totally in love with each other. Like, why aren't we in love with each other like that? When we had a pretty stable relationship, but I'm looking at basing it on somebody else's relationship. It's like the sex question. Don't ever ask somebody how many times they have sex, okay, in a relationship. First of all, they'll always fucking lie about it, okay? Second of all, those people that say they're fucking 5 times a week are completely lying about it, because most married couples, once you settle down and you got your jobs and family dinners and work and all that kind of stuff, nobody wants to be screwing 5 nights a week. Now, I mean, it'd be nice, but don't you sometimes want to come home and just put your pajamas on and watch TV together? I like that sometimes, you know, just as much as having sex. It's like those different kinds of intimacy, you know? But I think everybody thinks we're not having sex. Now, I do think this. I do believe that sex is a very important part of a relationship. I do. I think you need to be having sex. And if you're in a sexless marriage, unless you're 100% okay with that and you guys have both agreed on it, I don't know why you would want to be in a sexless marriage, you know, and one of you is saying, well, I just don't enjoy it. Well, then you need to find some things that you do enjoy, because I don't know how. I don't know. I've been in relationships that ended that way, and that was kind of the predecessor for them a lot of times, you know? I think it said more about my relationship than I maybe wanted to admit at the time. So I do think that that's important, but I don't think that sex is everything in a marriage. I don't even think it's most of everything in the marriage. But I would see these pictures and I would be so upset, and I'd be like, oh, they love each other so much, and why can't we love each other so much? That, I mean, it'd be these ridiculous pictures, you know? And what it reminds me very much of is these YouTubers that are like, it specifically very much seems like gay couples to me, but maybe that's just because that's more of what I watch, that are like bringing each other breakfast in bed, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. And it seems so staged to me now, but there was such a long period where I would watch these videos and I would be like, we don't have that. Like, oh my God, like, look what he did for his birthday. Like, he hired a string quartet and like made him, you know, banana flaming desserts on the top of a skyscraper in New York City and had 4,000 doves, and they videotaped the whole thing. Alex doesn't love me like that. You know what I mean? Like, I would watch this shit, and now I know it's a bunch of fake bullshit, right? But at the time I would watch that and be like, we're not in love like that. And I would do this with this couple. I would look at these pictures, and Alex would always say to me, you do not know what the condition of the relationship is. You don't know what that's about. You don't know how happy or what they are. That's just a picture that they're putting out there in the world, right? Now, it's interesting because Alex does post pictures of us, you know, together, and he'll say, I love my husband, or whatever. You know, he posts, his Instagram is what he's doing. I love my husband, but my husband loves himself. So whatever he's doing at the moment is the picture that you're going to get. If he's standing in a bar, he's going to be flipping his hair because he loves his hair, and he's going to be taking pictures of his hair. If he's out with his girlfriend Kayla, he's going to be taking pictures of his girlfriend Kayla and him together, because that's what he's doing. If it's me and him somewhere, it's going to be me and him somewhere. He takes pictures of what he is at the moment, and he's not going to change that because I have the necessity to have somebody posting pictures about how in love they are with me all the time. So about the same time, I'm reading this article, and it's talking, somebody posted on Facebook about couples posting pictures on Facebook. You know those articles people put up? So I go to it and I read it, and it says something about the statistic is 80% of couples, something like that, that are constantly poking, do people poke on Facebook anymore? That are constantly posting pictures on Facebook of their relationship are doing so because they need validation for their relationship, okay? That their relationship might not be as good as you think it is. And 80% of those relationships end in divorce or breakups. And I was like, oh man. Well, why do I feel like I need that? Because so-and-so and so-and-so is doing it? Like, I hope that I don't, like, do I need that? Like, why, you know, I started questioning it. When, at the time, we had a very stable, good marriage. Our marriage was great, you know? We just wanted it to be better. Well, I'd like to tell you that that couple is still together today because they're friends of ours, but they're not. And they ended up splitting up in a very ugly situation. And I don't know how real those pictures were, but it makes me sad, kind of. I mean, I'm laughing because it's like I allowed myself to become so consumed. I mean, every time I would see a picture of them, I would be kind of like, what is wrong with us, you know? Vinny and Luke. Makes me sad. You know, it makes me sad that couples don't make it. And if we don't make it, I'll get on here and I'll own my truth and say, you know what, we tried our best, it didn't make it. We're not anywhere close to that, so I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. But if it did, I'd tell my truth. And, you know, I think it's hard. I think it's hard because I think there is a lot of editing that goes on YouTube. I don't edit for a reason. A, because I don't know a whole lot about it, and B, because I like the unedited truth. It's intriguing to me, it's alluring to me, and there's something attractive about the silence that gets caught between the ums of life, and I like that. And I like the unedited version of the real world. You know, I like when you see behind the veil of Oz. I like when you don't always see perfection, because I think the beauty is in the imperfection. I think that life is in the bitter and the sweet. If it weren't for the arguments that Alex and I had, okay, we wouldn't appreciate the good times laying on the bed laughing about Chaco the Macho Chihuahua. And it's just the truth. And if you can't understand that, then step back and look at your life and look at the worst moment that you've ever had and compare it to the best moment that you've ever had. And what you'll realize is it's the bitter and the sweet. We have to have both of them. Life would flatline if it weren't for both. And that's really the trick of a marriage, okay? Marriage isn't about this great passion that you're going to have for the rest of your life, because that's not how we live every day. You know, marriage is about walking into the bedroom when they're asleep and you see their feet are sticking out and it's 20 below and you cover their feet with a blanket. You know, marriage is about the fact that, you know, they've left for work and you realize that, you know, they left an important document that they need for a meeting at noon, and you call them and say, can I bring that to you? Do you need it? You know, marriage is just texting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just thinking about you. Marriage is saying, I can't wait to spend 5 days with you alone. Marriage isn't in the tricks. Marriage isn't in all of the pictures on Instagram. And marriage isn't in the wedding albums. Because anybody can have a wedding, but not everybody can have a marriage. And I'm super proud of my marriage. I'm very proud of the fact that we've been together 9 years. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've been married for 6. And nobody can take that away from me in some comment that they leave on a gossip thread. And that's just the fact. I don't care how it's perceived on video. I don't care how it's perceived in the world. I know my truth, and I know what that is. And I know that it takes the good and the bad. And for all of you that are out there that are married or in a relationship, or those of you that have gone through a breakup and you want to have that someday, remember that. Because I think a lot of times we get caught up in the lack of reality of what a real relationship is about, okay? We want to look at somebody's eyes, and are they looking a certain way, or does a picture come across this way? Maybe marriage isn't about all that, okay? Marriage is just not about all that, you know? Some of the most committed marriages I have ever seen in my entire life are based on eye rolls and sarcastic statements. That's everybody's grandma and grandpa. Let's just be for real. And they've been married 60 years, you know? And I love those old folk like that. I had a friend one time explain something to me, and I love this. She called it the 90-10 rule. And marriage and relationships, there's a go-kart at 2 o'clock in the morning on the side. What the hell is going on? And she called it the 90-10 rule. And the 90-10 rule is when you're in a relationship, typically you get 90% of what you want and 10% of what you are looking for, okay? The pictures. Don't forget the pictures. The 10% for me was the pictures. And the 10% is what, if you get out of that relationship, you'll leave it for, okay? Because you'll believe that you can find that in the next relationship. So you get out of your relationship and you get that 10% with somebody else. So you get into a relationship, like let's say I leave Alex and I get in a relationship and the next person posts fucking pictures left and right, okay? I miss you, bae, they write underneath these pictures. But they don't challenge me. They aren't willing to go to counseling with me. They don't tell me that I make them want to be a better person. They don't tell me they want to spend their life with me. Their family doesn't envelop me, you know, and welcome me into their home. And I don't get a lot of the things I get from my husband. An understanding, a compassion, you know. And then I'm in that marriage, or I'm in that relationship, getting those pictures, but looking for that 10% that I don't have. Until I leave that relationship and I get another one. And what happens over time is that you continue to cycle, and you continue to cycle, and you continue to cycle. And that's what happened. And that's why it took me three relationships. And it, you know, I hope it doesn't take me anymore. I hope I'm with my husband till the day I die. But that's why it took me 3 relationships to realize I need to stay here. And Alex has had past relationships too. I need to stay here and work on that 10%. You know, it's not in the pictures. It's just not. Marriage is a fantastic thing, but it takes a lot of work. You guys respond to me on a regular basis and tell me about your marriages. Tell me about your breakups and the hardships that you're going through. It's tough, you know. And I think sometimes I'm more proud of my marriage because of the tough times than I am because it comes across so easy, don't you think? If marriage was so easy, what would there be to be proud of? This is going to be a short vlog tonight, but it didn't end up being that. I can't believe this went so long. I like talking about my marriage. I'm proud of it, you know? And I've said that 15 times in this video, but I am. I like being married. My ring fits me at about 218 pounds. I'm 236.4 right now. I can't wait till I get down to that so I can wear my ring again. You know, I love looking at my husband's hands and seeing our engagement ring and our wedding band on his fingers. And I want to be able to do that again. And I should have got him sized, but I said I wanted to lose the weight, so I would never, if I got him resized, then I wouldn't care about losing the weight. And they mean something to me. And they remind me of that day that we got married. It was such an awesome day, you know? And I'm looking forward to celebrating it with him next week. We're going to do something special. We don't know yet because we're going to be in Miami for our anniversary. But don't ever give up. If you're in a relationship, don't ever give up. Don't base your relationship on other people's, even mine. Don't let what somebody else says or defines about your relationship be your truth. Because a marriage or a relationship between 2 people, it can never be repeated. It can never be replicated. It is a singular thing that is so different than everybody else's. So it's really impossible to ever critique or pass judgment on somebody's marriage, because no 2 marriages, no 2 relationships are alike. They're a finite, beautiful thing. And isn't that cool? 2 souls coming together and sharing a life. I love that. For a moment, even, you know? My ex and I had 6.5 great years together. Well, we had great years together. But you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trade those in. I don't think he's an asshole. He's a really good guy. We just didn't make it. But I'm very thankful for the days that we did have together, you know? And that's kind of how you have to live your life. is being thankful for the time that you have with somebody today. Life's short. We beat up on each other so easily, you know? I think that's all I have to say. I think that's all I have to say for today. I don't know. I wish I had it all figured out. I don't. But I do know this. I could be the salesman for marriage counseling, because our marriage counseling has been awesome. But I think it has a lot to do with our counselor. He really challenges us. And one of the things that's really cool is that, like, I can hear things from him that I can't hear from Alex, and vice versa. Alex can hear things from him and he can't hear from me. So, like, if we get into an argument that we would have, like, at home, like, he'll look at Alex and go, now, do you understand why Peter might hear it this way? Or he'll look at me and say, now, do you think maybe Alex heard that as harsh? And so, like, then when we get home, and we'll say it, and it's funny, we both find ourselves laughing because he just called us out on it, you know? And it's really cool, and it's really improved the way that we talk. We find each other stopping each other. Arguments have literally been cut, I mean, not even in half, like, more than that, because we'll just, one of us look at each other and say, let's just stop fighting, this isn't worth it, okay? We've said our piece, let's just move on. We've learned to communicate with each other in different ways. We've redefined our love languages, and, I mean, it's incredible. I look forward to it, it's fun. So, well, I think that's all I have to say for today, you guys. I wish I could leave on some mic drop moment, but I'm not that profound. I love you guys, and thank you for staying around for this long vlog. Hope you learned something today. And if you feel the need to tell me how you really feel, don't feel the need to go to a gossip channel and say it. You can say it in the comment section of my videos. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I'm cool with how you feel. Let's just keep it real, baby. The deal is the deal. I love you. Bye.